And you're looking live at the Naylor Stone Media Suite in the Mal Moore Athletic Facility, where in just a few minutes, Nick Saban will address reporters. And when the coach steps to the podium, we'll bring you his speech in its entirety. Meanwhile, we're joining you from the press box inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Great shot behind us. I really like that. And one position of interest always for fans is the quarterback position. You know, sometimes people love to talk about who you didn't get. Let's talk about who Alabama did sign. Alec Morris, big, strong, physical quarterback from Allen, Texas, the biggest classification in Texas, 6'3", 240 pounds, got a strong arm, physically, like I said, a big-bodied guy. Your thoughts on Alec Morris?
Well, you know, Gary, Alabama is one of those schools, the staff here, that likes to see their quarterbacks in person, in camp, throwing the football, give them an opportunity to see it coming off their hand live, get a better idea of, you know, kind of how they are, how they handle themselves in front of, you know, coaching staffs. It's a little bit more pressure, and it's a good opportunity to see that. And you look at what he did at Alabama's camp this past summer. He was outstanding, maybe the best quarterback, or certainly one of the top 2 or 3 that went through all the camps last summer. And I think that's when Alabama made their decision that they really want this guy. You know, we know they were recruiting Jameis Winston and Gunnar Kiel at that time, but Alec Morris did an outstanding job at camp. He was committed to Wake Forest, kind of an unsung guy at the time, but he had a great senior year, 35 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions, had his team #1 in the largest classification in the state of Texas for quite some time. And you mentioned his size. I think Alec Morris is a real talent.
And a quarterback, to be successful, needs good guys to throw to. And, man, Alabama has brought in some receivers, Rodney. Let's start with Amari Cooper out of Miami, Florida. I mean, this guy he seems to have the total package. He's got speed, he's got size, he's got good hands.
Playmaker.
You can see him playing as a freshman, huh?
Playmaker. Snoop Brazel, a lot of people compared him to Snoop Brazel, the freshman at Ole Miss from last year, who was so outstanding, a 5-star recruit. And Amari had a great game at the Under Armour game. Here you see the kick return for 93 yards. He had a 75-yard touchdown run that you saw, reception that you saw earlier. Yeah, he is a dynamite player. Just kind of has the instincts and knacks for the game. And Alabama already, Gary, has a commitment from one of the top juniors off his high school team, Artie Burns, a defensive back for next year.
All right, a different type of player, but nevertheless, an outstanding prospect is Chris Black. A little smaller, a little more of a stop and go. Kind of reminds you of some of the old Florida wide receivers.
Yeah, absolutely, like the kind that Urban Meyer used to sign. And Chris is a big-time player. Last year, a lot of people thought he was going to end up at Florida State. He grew up a Florida State fan, made a visit to Alabama for junior day, was blown away, brought his family back for the 8A game, spent 3 or 4 days here, had an outstanding time, and committed to Alabama. As you mentioned, Gary, he's a very versatile player. He can do a lot of things. They ran him on a lot of speed sweeps, punt returns, kick returns. He can do all of those things. He's an outstanding player.
All right, let's talk about a guy that is on the other side of the ball, but he's got similar athletic ability to those 2 young men, and that's Cyrus Jones. I know the coaches are thrilled to pick up this cover corner who can play offense for you as well.
There you go. A lot of versatility again. Cyrus Jones out of Baltimore Gilman, wide receiver in high school, as well as a defensive back, kick return guy, won a game with a 95-yard punt return this season. We saw him in the Under Armour game. This may be the play right here where he makes the pick. There you see him catch it in stride, run into the end zone, great speed, just an electrifying playmaker.
We continue to wait on Coach Saban to make it to the podium. You know, Rodney, the Alabama Kickers took their share of heat this past season, although they finished up strong in the Auburn game and in the BCS championship game against LSU. But a young kicker coming in from the state of Georgia, we've watched him on tape and on television, and Griffith really has a strong leg. I mean, not only strong, he gets the ball up fast and high, hard to block his field goal and point after touchdown attempts, and he's very accurate as well. He could be the best kicker in the country.
Well, you look at his size, Gary. You'd never understand that he has that much leg strength. I mean, he's kicked a 69-yard field goal in practice. He's tried a 69-yarder in a game that just missed. He's hit several from over 55 or 50 to 55 yards. So, again, he's a guy that's going to come in and have an opportunity to really do well here at Alabama.
Well, Rodney, some of the guys we've already discussed and some others are already enrolled at the University of Alabama, going to class in the off-season program, and we'll go through spring. Let's take a look at the early enrollees. Again, a number of these guys we've already talked about, but some we haven't. We haven't mentioned Dixon and Ballou, the junior college defensive backs. Alphonse Taylor, we mentioned briefly. Dylan Lee, let's don't forget about him. Highly rated linebacker. out of the state of Georgia. But all these guys getting the jump on football.
Well, the big thing is Alabama, one of their primary needs was in the secondary because you lose all of those guys. You're talking about at the corner spots. You lose Dre Kirkpatrick and Daquan Menzie. And so having Travell Dixon here, having Deion Blue here with an opportunity to go through spring practice, it just gives them a leg up. It certainly gives them an advantage as they go into next year because Alabama's going to need these guys on the field very, very early. They're going to have a great opportunity to start next season.
Rodney, a guy that we haven't talked about, we're going to talk again about the announcements coming from today, but, tight end's a very valuable position. We saw what Brad Smelly did this year. Kirk Freitag, a guy coming in from Dillon Lee's high school in Buford, Georgia, could potentially play that same type of role.
Yeah, Kurt Freitag's great blocker, Gary. He's very, very talented player. He catches the ball really well, and he's also outstanding on the defensive side of the ball as a defensive end. So he's an aggressive kid. He really likes contact, and that's a big pickup as well.
All right. Again, the not much breaking news because Alabama's class was pretty much set, but a couple of guys that you felt were going to sign with Alabama, but we didn't know for sure until this morning. We opened the show with it. Corn Curvin, again, recapping, if you are just joining us, about the only excitement was Corn Curvin, and we got some video of the big man from Lynchburg, Virginia, and athletic. Look at him carrying the football right there. Best football's probably still in front of him, just turned 17 years old. This is a huge pickup for the Tide.
Oh, very athletic kid. I talked to the athletic director up there, who is also the defensive line coach, Larry Kidd, who told me that this kid, he's just starting to blossom. He's only, as you mentioned, Gary, just turned 17 years old on December the 10th, and already 6'4.5 plus, close to 290 pounds. Just a tremendous athlete, and having the opportunity to play here for Chris Rumph and the way he develops his defensive lineman, I think that's going to be big for Corn Curvin.
And the other announcement this morning coming from Dalvin Tomlinson, and the thing you like about this guy, relentless competitor, strong as an ox, three-time Georgia heavyweight wrestling champion, has overcome some things in his life, and he really is a tough, hard-nosed football player. And you got some options with him. You see him at 6'1", 6'2", 270. He could possibly play in, or because of his frame, you might could bulk him up. He could be a Josh Chapman type for you on the nose.
I think, Gary, we underestimate the fact that he's been a great wrestler. He understands leverage. And I think that's very important in what he does on the football field. And, not only that, but he's a really good kid. I think he has the right mindset, and I think that he's going to be very, very coachable.